Okay, so we start again with the next part of continental drift theory. In the previous part, we have seen how Wegener has put forth his questions that puzzled his mind and how he justifies that it must not be the climate that has shifted, but it must be the continents which must have moved from their previous location and assume their present position. So, as I said, that the theory of continental drift states that continents were once part of a single landmass, which we are calling it as Pangaea, as nomenclated by Wagner, and that broke apart and have moved to their present location. So, first thing we have to understand that continents were once part of a single landmass, which broke apart and have present day occupied their locations, and they can drift apart from one another and have done so in the past as well. This is just an animation of animation put forth for the entire world to understand that how through the different time period, this time period is my, that is million years before present. Like it starts with some around where around 100 to 200 million years before present. What was the situation and what is the situation? Okay, now as I told you that Wegener is calling the single giant, or let's say supercontinent, which was present somewhere around 225 million years ago as Pangaea, a single landmass present 225 million years ago according to Wegener is referred to as Pangaea, and the surrounding water body, it was called as Panthalassa. You can see this narrow, shallow part of the ocean body intruding into the land portion. This shallow water body was referred to as Tethys by Wegener. So again, I'm repeating, three terms are there over here. Somewhere around 225 million years ago, we had a single landmass which was referred to as Pangaea. We had a single water body or a single oceanic body which he referred to as Panthalassa, and a very shallow, narrow water body which he refers to as Tethys. So Pangaea is a name given to the single landmass that was present 200 million years ago. So we can see through this different graphics that how 200 million years ago we had a single landmass Pangaea surrounded by a single water body, that is Panthalassa. Somewhere around 100 million years ago there was breaking had already started, and they must have assumed these particular positions, all these different landmasses. And by 70 million years ago, you can see how India drifted from here, it is moving towards the north. And 30 million years ago, you can see this was the situation where Antarctica is now totally separated from the African tip, Australia, then this is American tip, then the Africa, Australia, and also India has drifted farther towards the north. See here, like say for example, these were close together, both forming Laurasia and Gondwana, like the North America attached to the parts of Eurasia, South America attached to Africa. So both of these continents, they are moving towards the west. They are moving towards the west. And here, continents towards the west may be due to the gravitational pull of the moon and the sun. Remember, these were the reasonings or the logic being given by Wegener at that point of time. As of today, with many number of different theories coming up, we know that these are not the sole reason because of which the continents have moved towards the equator or moved towards the west. And there is some other theory which is called as the theory of plate tectonics, how the different continents move, and today also they are still moving. Okay. So what does he tell us? On account of equatorward drift, what happened? Africa and Eurasia were pushed closer together. So we have the equatorward drift. So due to the equatorward drift, what happened? This is the parts of Eurasia. This is part of Africa. Both of them came close together. They came close together. And I told you, what is this narrow inlet showing over here? It is the Tethys Sea. So this is the Tethys Sea. As both the land portions move towards the equator, that is Africa and Eurasia, they will push closer together. The Tethys Sea deposits located in between the two land masses were raised in the form of folded mountains of Alps, Atlas, Zagros, Hindu Kush and the Himalayas. So Himalayas were born out of the deposits of Tethys Sea. The peninsula of India and Africa was separated. This is the peninsula of India and the peninsula of Africa. They were initially, as you can see, attached to Antarctica. They were separated from Antarctica and Australia because they moved towards the equator. On account of the westward drift, the second drift that Wegener tells us, the continents moved towards the west. North America, South America, both of these continents, they got separated from Europe and Africa. And what came into existence between these two? Atlantic Ocean came into existence due to the westward shift of North America and South. Now Wegener gives us some evidences. Whenever a scientist puts forth a theory, he has to give some evidence. So what are his evidences? He says that firstly, the geographic fit of South America and Africa, which in the beginning I talked about. Secondly, the fossil matches across the oceans. Thirdly, rock types and structures which match across the oceans and the ancient. So coming to the first evidence, the tight fit of the continents, especially using continental shelves. So you can see how South America fits more or less into the parts of Africa. So unless and until they were once upon a time close together, there was a fracture which has come into existence and a joint formation or a fracture, or in some geological terms, I don't want to go into that right now, but some separation has occurred and they drifted away from each other. So the first evidence comes in the form of the jigsaw fit or the fit of the continents. Second evidence comes in the form of fossils. We know that we can date back the fossils, we can understand the climate, that particular vegetation or that particular plant or fauna or flora or animal must have been surviving on the part of the land, the surface of the earth. So there were a number of such evidences that are found. Let's say for example, the fossil remain of Cyanogenathus, a Triassic land reptile approximately 3 meter long. This fossil remains. Where are they found? They are found in central parts of South America and they are also found in the central and the western some parts of Africa. Okay. Now we also have another reptile which is of Triassic period called as Lystrosaurus. This one, his fossils are found in Africa, Madagascar, parts of India, peninsular parts of India, and parts of Antarctica. Another fossil, now a plant species called as Glossopteris fern, which was found in all the southern continents, show that they were once joined. Let's say for example, it is found in South America, found in African part, Madagascar, southernmost part of India, Antarctica, and Australia. Now try and imagine, we are talking about the fossil remains of maybe Cyanogenathus or maybe Mesosaurus or Lystrosaurus or even a plant species like a fern. None of these reptiles that we are talking about can move across the big oceans. They were necessarily terrestrial form of animals. They were not aquatic. That means they couldn't swim in the water. Naturally, a particular type of animal species which is found in South Africa, which is separated by a large oceanic body, Atlantic body, from the African continent. If we consider present day situation, then we cannot think in terms of this particular species to have traveled all the way from South America to Africa, or a land reptile species like Lystrosaurus traveling from Africa to Madagascar to India to Antarctica. No, it is not possible unless and until these all continents were joined together. And this becomes itself an evidence that yes, Once upon a time, somewhere 100,000 years ago or millions of years ago, all these continents were joined together. Here in Appalachian Mountains, same structure is found over here, or whatever structure is found here, same structure is found here. And lastly, the climatic evidence in the form of the glaciers. This I mentioned in the earlier presentation. I said that grooves carved by glaciers, which are shown by the arrows, they provided the evidence for continental drift. The diagram assumes the continents were there in their present day location. So the present day location of, say, South America, basically this is the parts of Brazil, the Congo Basin, or let's say the African continent, Madagascar, we have the Indian peninsular tape over here, and parts of Australia. Everywhere we are finding that there are evidences that in the past they were covered by snow, they were covered by glaciers. How is it possible unless and until they were together and they were attached somewhere towards the South Pole to the Antarctica continent? This is how we can represent it, that these were the parts which were together once upon a time and they were all covered by snow, and this is the present day situation. You can see where is India. It is very far away from the north south pole, but still we can see some evidences in the form of the glaciated grooves over here in the peninsular part of India. It is not possible unless and until Indian peninsular part was attached to Antarctica and it was very close to south pole. So that is how the ancient glaciation must have been appearing to the like this, that these are the different parts and they were very close to the south pole. So to summarize the evidences being put forth by Wegener, corresponding fit of the coastlines of the continents was the first one. Fossils of the same plants and land animals were found on widely separated continents. Climate evidence, glacial features on continents that today are in warm latitudes, as well as evidence of forest on Antarctica. Impossible in Antarctica's present latitude. It is not possible. Similar rock types, mineral deposits, and ages of rocks were found on different continents. Overlapping locations of earthquakes, volcanoes, and trenches and mountains are also one of the other evidence which we can talk about. As with all the theories, there were also some problems with the theory given by Wegener. There was no mechanism for the movement of continent. He said that there is a drift of the continents towards the equator and towards the westward. He said that the movement of the continents towards the equator is due to the bulge and the rotational movement of the earth. While talking about the westward drifting of the continents, he is putting it onto the gravitational pull of the moon and the sun. But these were not actually the reasons behind the drifting, and he could not in all possible way, he could not actually put forth sound reasoning that why the continents must have drifted or what is the process of their drifting. Secondly, wind and currents could possibly move fossil. Yes, we know that the fossils are there, but there are possibilities that some lighter fossils might get moved from their actual location. And this theory was not accepted by the scientists. So there are a number of theories which came after the theory of continental drift, which proved to be more successful in presenting the mechanism of movement of the continents, in our understanding of the movement of the continent, how they must have drifted and whether they are drifting today or not, and the likewise.